Welcome to Contemporary Retirement. Contemporary Retirement is a public interest program focused on the retirement community. Every program has segments on legal, financial, and health issues affecting the retirement community. Contemporary Retirement is sponsored in part by a major grant from the Family Heritage Trust Company.
Contemporary Retirement is sponsored by Family Heritage Trust Company. The Family Heritage Trust Company is an independent bank chartered trust company established by local professionals to provide fiduciary services, including fee-based investment advice, trust services, retirement planning, and tax planning. The Family Heritage Trust Company is committed to client service in our communities. For more information, call the Family Heritage Trust Company at 301-631-5900.
Contemporary Retirement is sponsored in part by a grant from R. Thomas Murphy & Associates, P.C. R. Thomas Murphy & Associates is one of Franklin County's leading law firms, emphasizing estate, trust, elder law, and medical assistance planning.
Welcome to the Is It Legal feature on Contemporary Retirement. Is It Legal focuses on the legal issues affecting the retirement community. With me is Tom Murphy from the R. Thomas Murphy Law Firm with offices in Waynesboro, Chambersburg, and McConnellsburg. Welcome to the show, Tom.
Good morning.
Tom, we did a little sequence last week, and we're going to continue with horror stories of people's planning. We have people put kids' names on the house all the time. Everybody knows that's right, but in reality, it subjects parents to substantial risks that they would not have otherwise been subjected to.
Exactly, and it's just statistics, because for a typical person or a married couple, the risks are death and disability in most cases. But once you start adding people's names to your deed, you're dramatically increasing the odds that somebody's going to die or become divorced or disabled or who knows what. And so it's risky.
So married couple residence is automatically exempt. People heard there's liens against married couples residence. There's not. They are automatically exempt.
Exactly, and there's no limit. So you could have a farm where the residence is, and we move it to the healthy spouse.
$1 million farm, not a problem. It's not. It's an exempt resource.
Yeah.
Now I know you had a case a few years ago, and I've had the same case in which a child's name was added to the house. The child died before the parents. Both parents are alive. Mm-hmm. That house would have been an exempt resource, but the 1/3 interest in the house was inherited by that child's spouse.
Oh, absolutely. And so, that spouse and her new boyfriend aren't so thrilled about deceased spouse's parents living in their house. And so you get into those tensions and fights and all kinds of problems.
Well, we had another problem. If you would have transferred the house back, it would have been an exempt resource because the transfer was in the 5-year look back, but the deceased spouse would not transfer the property back.
Absolutely. It wasn't in their economic interest, and so all of a sudden the couple who had given away, instead of having a nice protected asset which we could have moved, now they're paying and using their protected dollars through this penalty incurred by giving away something that was already protected.
There's just no guarantee that circumstances are not going to change. So when we're looking at married couples, you can't be transferring that house when it's automatically exempt anyway, unless you've just simply said, I'm willing to pay a nursing home bill that I don't have to pay.
Well, exactly, and that's what you're actually doing. I mean, so if you give away a $100,000 house, the state's not going to pay for a year in Pennsylvania. So you've got to figure out how to do that.
Well, we have the same issue in terms of we've had parents, get short on cash, to pay an assisted living bill. Children's names are on the house. They want to go get a home equity line. The children have to sign on that note, and we've had circumstances in which the child might have been willing to sign on the note, but the child's spouse said no way because they thought they were going to end up having to pay the nursing home bill. No amount of quality information for us could deter that opinion.
Oh, absolutely. Or maybe they're willing, but the children have terrible credit or some kind of bankruptcy in their history, and so they're not going to be able to get any financing, whereas the parent would have potentially been able to do it very simply.
Well, and then they can't sell that house without the child's consent.
Right.
And so once again, we have people who, have said, I would not have an investment that was not an insured federal government CD, and we see this all the time, whether it's right or wrong, doesn't matter, that's their behavior. And now all of a sudden they're entering into risky transactions that just completely violate their values in the name of avoiding something that many times they have no idea that what they're avoiding, they don't even need to be worried about.
Well, exactly. Exactly, and they're afraid of these demons and things under the bed, and in reality they don't even exist. And so they're doing stuff without good counsel, and it's biting them and costing them a lot more money than if they had done nothing.
And of course, Pennsylvania really likes to deserve a little, additional treat here. That child's name on the house, and the child predeceases the parent. What's that little niblet that happens there?
Yeah, so that tax they were trying to avoid just got paid inadvertently on the wrong person.
Because when that child died ahead of the parent in Pennsylvania, there's a 4.5% inheritance tax on their 1/3. And the bitter irony is that sometimes that house is titled both parents and that child right of survivorship, which means it goes back to the parent, but they still have to pay 4.5% inheritance tax on that 1/3 interest.
Well, it can be more exciting because say there's 2 or 3 children. Well, the parents might pay 4.5%, but the siblings are going to pay 12%, depending on how it's titled. So you just made a big old mess unnecessarily.
Not a problem in Maryland, but Pennsylvania is just, it is a 3-ring circus.
Absolutely. And so you need to be aware of that and do smart things.
Tom, as always, thanks for taking time to appear on the program.
You're welcome.
More from Contemporary Retirement after these messages.
Few things in life are as important as family. Leave your insurance worries to us. Write Gardner. Call or visit our website to learn how we can make insurance simple and more affordable.
Every life that meets its end leaves a heart for love to mend. Sister, brother, family, friends are left to carry on. When the loss seems more than you can bear, it's nice to know that we'll be there at Douglas A. Fiery Funeral Home. We care.
Call Ed Lowe to help put your mind at ease.
Welcome to the special guest feature on Contemporary Retirement. This segment focuses on various issues which are of importance to the retirement community. With me today, Simone Heurich from Flowering Heart Yoga. Welcome to the show, Simone.
Thank you so much, Michael. Great to be here.
Now, yoga, it's been around a while.
Oh, just a little while. Many people think it just started in the 60s, but it goes back thousands of years.
And so what's the basic premise of yoga?
Well, that everything's interconnected. The word yoga means union, and it's a recognition that everything is interconnected as we, have really come to understand, even through science. We look at ecology and see how the smallest thing is connected to the largest thing. So.
And of course, it was a recognition thousands of years ago, which some of us are now finally coming to the recognition of, that perhaps stress and inner turmoil is not good for your health.
Yes, finally we've linked that up and seen the connection of the mind, the body, our emotions, our thoughts, how it has an effect.
And of course, you deal with the health system today. They actually talk about being holistic, meaning they're looking at more than just making a prescription to you. It is a part of people's overall health.
Correct, yes. And so people come to yoga for all kinds of reasons, physical, mental, and emotional. I get many people that have all of those things they want to work on, and we do.
All right, we're going to have Director Greg pull up a few pictures here, because one of the first things we want to emphasize here, you do not have to be able to sit in a lotus position.
Exactly. You know what? That's something I don't even do in my classes. And I'm always teaching to where people are starting from. I've had everything from children to seniors, and so it gets adapted to what people need.
So we're looking at this picture here. What are we doing here?
Well, this is a seated twist, and this would be a standing pose. That's good for strengthening the legs and the upper back. So there's a component that I bring to class of creating strength as well as flexibility to create balance in the body.
And balance, of course, is incredibly important because it's part of what makes us safe.
That's absolutely right. Yeah, and if we have weak muscles, we're not going to be stable and safe. So, yeah, that's very important.
And so what are we doing here now? Are we not, this doesn't look like that's too tough.
Well, you'd be surprised. And that's why, I do offer modifications like a chair, or people can stand by the wall, touch and hold on to the wall, or the one lady is placing her foot on the block. Predominantly, they're still strengthening the standing leg, but it makes it a little easier to balance.
And one of the things that are important here is to realize that you don't have to have had any previous experience. You're going to take people no matter where they are in their current physical conditions and work to improve from that point.
Exactly right. Yeah. And I know a lot of times we put pressure on ourselves when we start something new, like we're already supposed to know it. And I really try to put people at ease that, it's an exploration and an uncovering of whatever we're experiencing at the moment. And that's where we start. And we modify whatever we need to.
And of course, then you try to work with that connectivity a little bit to perhaps give people some tips on how to at least manage stress.
Absolutely. And simple, but not always easy to remember, but through the practice of even paying attention to your breathing. Because often when we're stressed, we're either holding our breath or breathing very shallowly or rapidly. And as we continue to just develop our awareness about it and start to think about it, turn into the breath, even when we're driving, we often get stressed because we're in a rush, we're behind somebody slow, there's road work going on. All of those things can be managed just by, I notice I'm not breathing, or I'm breathing too fast. It's making me feel more anxious. So,
all right,
simple.
So you have several places that people can find out more about you. First of all, you have your own studios.
Correct. I have a space in Hagerstown on Mount Etna Road West. And then I also have a studio at my home near Smithsburg. And then I teach at Hagerstown Community College for credit and continuing education.
So Flowering Heart Yoga, how would they get a hold of you?
I have a website, floweringheartyoga.com. And they're welcome to visit that. I have a schedule on there of classes and workshops. And then I also have a phone number, 301-730-3945. They can call and get more information as well. And email simone@floweringheartyoga.com.
Simone, as always, thanks for taking time to appear on our program.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
More from Contemporary Retirement after these messages.
Tranquility at Fredericktown Assisted Living and Memory Care provides a warm, home-like atmosphere that promotes daily life enrichment. At Tranquility, our medical director is a geriatric physician. Our professionals support and understand the various stages associated with Alzheimer's and dementia. We have on-site physical, occupational, and speech therapists, as well as around-the-clock licensed nurses. For more information, give Tranquility at Fredericktown a call today, because everyone deserves great care. Let us do the caregiving so you and your loved one can embrace life again.
All right, let's get this show on the road. Ma'am, give me a good push.
Hang on, just 1 minute.
Ma'am, I need you to push right now.
Honey, you really need to push.
It's time.
Just hold on a minute.
No, right now. One push, ma'am. One push.
Just one more bid on HurleyAuctions.com.
If you haven't visited HurleyAuctions.com, you don't know what you're missing. Whether you're buying or selling, antique cars, tractors, boats, or real estate, you can do it all at HurleyAuctions.com.
Get to know Dr. Carrie Hesley at Diagnostic Imaging Services.
What I find most rewarding is caring for women through our Women's Imaging Center. We have a caring staff that will ease patients through an ultrasound, bone densitometry, breast biopsy, or mammogram. Our health team is sensitive to emotions involved in women's imaging and understands that every woman is at risk for breast cancer. Providing the community with a center that is so dedicated to breast health and the imaging needs of women is something special.
DIS Women's Imaging Center, providing women with progressive care.
Welcome to Contemporary Health Scene. Contemporary Health Scene focuses on the health issues affecting the retirement community. With me is Christina Forbes, Director, Daybreak in Frederick. Welcome to the show, Christina.
Thank you, Michael.
You know, adult daycare, you know, if you thought about that 25 years ago, you would think about it almost as the same thing we had with child care 25 years ago. 1 or 2 people in a private residence. It was really a babysitting service.
Right. Absolutely. Adult medical daycare today is very different. Our center and centers like it, very dynamic. People are active. People are there to live, to be social, to be healthy and well, while at the same time giving their caregivers a much needed break at home.
And that's one of the challenges that we find, particularly even, you know, whether it's a child caregiver or it's a spouse caregiver, we oftentimes make this statement that the needs of the caregiver are often being ignored.
Absolutely. I work with a lot of caregivers, Michael, and they're tired and they're overwhelmed. By joining a program like Daybreak or another medical day center, not only do they get the benefit of time and rest away from their loved one is happier because they're engaged and active, but the caregiver also gains a whole team of people behind them to support them in their journey.
And we oftentimes find that they're not going to their own doctor's appointments because it's too difficult and that sort of thing. And so what this does is give them a chance to have some separation, but more importantly, you know, they're spouses. They're not gatekeepers.
Right.
It really changes the relationship when you have to be the gatekeeper.
Absolutely. And no one person can be the entertainment director every day. So by the senior coming to a center, the senior gets a sense of independence and enjoyment that really enhances their relationship with their caregiver.
All right, let's talk about what a day might look like.
Sure, absolutely. At our center, we provide transportation to and from the program. So many of our folks are picked up by a Daybreak driver and a Daybreak bus in the morning, brought in.
Let me pull some pictures
Sure.
up here, Director Greg, as we're talking about this. So first of all, this is your facility. So they're going to get picked up, and this facility looks like to be pretty much on one floor, fully handicapped.
Everything is on one floor, right? No stairs, no elevators, no difficult thresholds. Easy for our folks to navigate the center.
All right, so as that day then begins.
Sure, as folks are arriving in the center, we provide a delicious breakfast.
Well, I'm looking at a van here. We skipped the van. So you have handicapped accessibility vans?
We do. All of our buses are handicap accessible, and as you can see, joyful staff to help our participants start their day.
So if somebody's in a wheelchair?
No problem. All of the vans have lifts. That's not a problem at all.
All right, and it's actually part of the therapy to be able to get a bus ride.
It is, absolutely. And our drivers can go right to the door to help people in, so it's a really comprehensive service.
All right, and so then they arrive at the center, then what?
Breakfast available, staff there to assist them if they need help getting to the restroom or getting ready for the day. Once everyone has arrived and eaten, then the activities begin. At our center, lots of different choices. People don't all have to do the same activity. Plenty of room for them to spread out, do things they enjoy doing, and a variety of activities offered.
All right, now you've said medical daycare. What does that mean?
So we have 2 registered nurses at our facility every day. Some of our folks need the nurse's expertise for medications or insulin. Many of our folks don't need them daily, but because of the number of medical issues or memory problems that they have, having that nurse overseeing things and managing their care is really helpful.
It also addresses another issue because oftentimes the caregiver is worried that they're going to be appropriately taken care of. So you really want to address that insecurity as well.
Absolutely. And our nurse and I do a thorough assessment before someone joins our program to make sure we know exactly what they need and can provide it.
All right, so the day progresses, then what?
Absolutely. Activities, exercise every day. Then we segue into a delicious lunch prepared on site. And it's a very substantial meal for some of our participants. That's surely the biggest meal of the day that they're eating.
And I'm assuming dietary issues are being addressed.
Absolutely. We have a dietitian that monitors the menu and oversees that and works with our nurses to make sure everyone's getting the right food for their diet.
And then what?
More activities. Really, it rolls one right into the next. But of course, Michael, not everyone has the stamina to be active all day, so we have plenty of comfortable recliners and sofas. If someone needs a rest, they are welcome to do that.
And then as the day progresses?
Well, we stop to eat again. We love to eat at Daybreak.
That's all right.
So we have a snack. Our activities end about 2 with a snack, and then we start getting ready for the ride home.
All right, and so once again, they don't have to worry about transportation. It's medically supervised. There is a charge associated with it, but I know your organization as a not-for-profit is committed to trying to make that service available to anybody.
Absolutely, Michael. There is a cost, and it can be prohibitive to some. we will do everything we can to try and make it affordable using grant funding or other state or federal programs to see if we can get that cost down.
Sometimes VA funding, but there's plenty of opportunities
Absolutely, yes.
Christina, how could they get a hold of you?
They can call us at 301-696-0808. They can also visit our website, www.Daybreak Adult Day Services, where they will see our activity calendar, our menu, and a video that are real Daybreak people and families telling them what our program's all about.
Christina, as always, thanks for taking time to appear on our program.
Thank you.
More from Contemporary Retirement after these messages.
The Community Foundation has helped create signs of community strength for more than 30 years. Scholarships assist with post-secondary education, and grants support programs throughout Frederick County. Making a big impact. Because of generous donors like you. Add your sign of community strength by creating a fund that supports the causes you care about.
Albright, Crumbacher, Mal & Eitel are a full-service firm that provides elder care services including managing incoming bills, bill payment, depositing checks, balancing bank statements, and preparing, planning, and filing personal tax returns. Put your mind at ease and call us today.
Welcome to the Making Sense feature on Contemporary Retirement. This segment focuses on various financial issues which are of importance to the retirement community. With me today is Pete Alexander, a partner in the regional accounting firm of Albright, Crumbacher, Mal & Eitel, with offices in Hagerstown and Martinsburg, West Virginia. Welcome to the show, Pete.
Great to be here, Mike.
You know, Pete, when we started working together as lawyer and CPA, many eons ago, we used to be very focused on estate taxes because the estate tax situation routinely affected middle-class folks.
Yeah, back 30 years ago, I think 31 years ago when we started together, the estate tax limit was $600,000. So if you had over $600,000 when you passed away, if you didn't do some proper planning, you were going to pay estate tax, you were going to pay inheritance tax, you were going to pay Maryland estate tax. There was all sorts of things. And a lot of people, if you have just a few IRAs and you have your house, you could quickly get up around that $600,000, and you needed to do some estate planning.
Well, there was another piece of that people didn't realize, is that if you owned the life insurance policy, even though you had no money in the bank, that life insurance policy counted toward that $600,000 as well.
Yeah, most people had themselves being the beneficiary or their spouses being the beneficiary of the life insurance, and they paid the premiums. So, you throw in another $100 to $250 in life insurance, and most people did indeed need to do some type of estate planning.
Now, sometimes it was complex, sometimes it wasn't complex, but you did have to pay attention to it.
Yeah, you had to pay attention because that $600,000 was a husband, $600,000 for wife, but you couldn't transfer the husband to the wife. We didn't have any of those.
So now, if they had $650,000, the survivor still only had $600,000, and now they were $50,000 over.
Exactly right. And understand, all this was old. This isn't the law as it stands now. The law as it stands now is much, much different. But that's how it was, and that's where people believed they needed, and they saw their parents needing estate planning. They saw their parents buying life insurance for the sole purpose of paying estate tax. So a lot of people now that are in the older community remember that, and they're trying to think the same way.
And it's really quite interesting that the middle class historically has never paid estate taxes. And so what happens is whenever the middle class starts paying them, you tend to see the government raising the limits. Then you combine that with a desire to say no estate taxes whatsoever, and you ended up with a blended exemption today that essentially renders federal estate taxes irrelevant to more than 99% of the U.S. population.
Yeah, what they did a handful of years ago is they made that $600,000 that went to $1 million, then it bounced all over the place for about a decade, but they turned that to a $5 million exemption for husband, $5 million exemption for wife. Then they indexed it for inflation, which means it goes up each year. Then they said whatever the first spouse doesn't use, the remaining spouse gets to add to their $5 million.
So now you're close to $11 million today that a married couple can pass to their children with no federal estate tax.
Exactly, no federal estate tax whatsoever. Most people would have to work at it to pay a federal estate tax unless you own a business, some farmland, or a ton of real estate or investments.
Now, for those Maryland viewers, though, Maryland got a little bit greedy in this proposition and said, well, we still want to tax estates over $1 million. And as a result of which they saw an exodus of wealthy people out of the state to those tax havens, Pennsylvania, District of Columbia, which of course is farcical, but the reality was they were tax havens compared to Maryland.
Yeah, what happened is Maryland, as the estate tax exemption increased, when it hit $1 million, Maryland said, we're breaking away from the feds. West Virginia still follows the feds. States like Florida follow the feds. But Maryland said, we want the revenue. We're breaking away from the Fed. We're leaving our exemption at only $1 million.
And then the legislature and the finance types realized they were getting crushed with the loss of current tax revenue as people left the state, loss of sales tax revenue. And the reality was about 3 years ago, the Maryland legislature made a headlong rush to get rid of that $1 million exemption.
Right. What they in essence did is they said they were going to phase in over 5 years. They're going to phase in and they're going to meet the federal. So here shortly, they're going to exactly match the federal estate exemption. So Maryland, West Virginia, Florida, they're all going to follow the feds, which means you're going to have no estate tax if you're under the $5 million adjusted for inflation each.
Everybody in our viewing area is going to have an excess of a $5 million personal exemption within several years.
Yes, yes. And as the other one, as you know, everybody talks about is our local inheritance tax. The local inheritance tax used to be a 10% tax, a 10% flat tax. But since then, they've basically abolished that for all linear descendants. So if you're giving that money to your kids or grandkids, you don't even have that. They dropped it to 1% and they abolished it.
Pete, as always, thanks for taking time to appear on our program.
Great to be here, Mike.
Thank you from Contemporary Retirement.
Remember a more carefree time? Leave your insurance worries to us, Wright Gardner. Call or visit our website to learn how we can make insurance simple and more affordable.
These days, it seems like everything's online, and filling out claim forms and receiving and paying bills online isn't always easiest. That's why we at Quality First Insurance encourage you to just give us a call. Let us help.
Hi there, I'm Paul Sweeney with Quality First Insurance, and it's still just this simple. Our offices are open every weekday where you'll be able to call and speak to real, live people.
No detail was missed. I'm so glad that I turned to Quality First Insurance.
I've recommended Quality First Insurance to my friends who've been just as satisfied.
If you're not happy with what you're paying for Medigap, or more importantly, not happy with your service, give us a try. We're locally owned, and we take the time to provide you with the best. We are Quality First Insurance, and our mission is to provide quality products to quality people. Pick up the phone and give us a call today at 800-745-1411.